Hello, and welcome to the Gay Cruise and Travel Podcast with me, Just Joey T, brought to you by Just Joey Travels. All right, it is an exciting podcast today because Atlantis has just announced two brand new back-to-back Mediterranean cruises in Europe for 2026. This podcast is going up the day that both of these cruises have gone on public sale. So as of today, right now, you can go book either one or even both of these Mediterranean cruises. And I'll talk about the both part in a little bit. And of course, today in this episode, I'm going to give you all the details for both of these cruises. So let's get directly into it. The first cruise is going to be from Athens to Venice. And the second cruise starts from Venice and goes to Barcelona. Okay? These cruises are back to back. What that means is when the first cruise ends, and it ends on July 15th, later that day, the second cruise starts. So if you wanted to, you can actually go on both cruises. If you've got about 19 days total, the first cruise is 10 nights, the second cruise is 9 nights. If you got about 19 days and you want to do both cruises, you can do that. But first of all, I want to talk about the alumni presale, which is ongoing right now. So for most Atlantis cruises, alumni get first dibs on the cruise. They get a special presale period. Alumni all should have gotten an email last week directly from Atlantis notifying them about this cruise. And in that alumni email, there is a link for you to do your alumni pre-booking directly because of their early access. And the discount code is in that email as well. Or you just contact whichever travel advisor you usually book your Atlantis cruises with. Alumni, you can book either one of these cruises before November 20th and save up to $300. So check the email that you should have gone from Atlantis. I should have gone that last week for all the exact details on which room categories that discount is applicable to. Only certain rooms are eligible for that. And then it's also got the alumni booking information and the discount code in that email. Or again, you can just contact the travel advisor you usually book your Atlantis cruises with. Speaking of travel advisors, I am a professional travel advisor now. So if you're a new cruiser, you've never been on an Atlantis cruise before, and you're really interested in either one of these cruises, reach out to me, reach out to Just Joey Travels, and I will do everything for you. I will be your personal travel advisor dedicated to you. I'll walk you through the entire booking process. I'll help you pick the best cabin types. I'll go through all of them with you, and I'll also help you pick the best part of the ship for your cabin. And I also give you my exclusive Just Joey T advice and assistance. And I also do flights and hotels as well. I can actually see quite a few first-time cruisers wanting to do one of these cruises. A lot of people love to visit Europe, and this is actually a really great way to actually visit a bunch of different places in Europe and also experience a cruise. And a cruise makes just getting around different parts of Europe really, really easy. I'll talk more about that a little bit later on in this episode. But if you're at all interested in booking either one of these cruises, but you're not an alumni, maybe you're a first-time cruiser, reach out to me, JustJoeyTravels.com, or the Just Joey Travels Instagram page. You can DM me there. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty details of these two cruises. Both of these cruises are with Virgin Voyages. So Atlantis is chartering Virgin Voyages ship again. This one will be on the Scarlet Lady. So this was actually the inaugural ship for Virgin Voyages. It was their very first ship. Its proper inaugural voyage was in October 2021. Virgin Voyages, by now, they've got 4 ships. They just launched a 4th one very recently, a few months ago. And all the ships are 98% identical, save for the name and like a few minor tweaks here and there. But all the ships are really, really new. They are mid-sized ships. They each hold about 2,700 passengers, give or take. They all have about 1,100 crew that work on board. Free basic Wi-Fi, free non-alcoholic beverages, all-inclusive dining. These are some of the things that sets Virgin ships apart from most other cruise lines. Most cruise lines, they're going to charge you for any kind of Wi-Fi, Most cruise lines, you won't get any sort of beverages, non-alcoholic otherwise, for free. And most cruise lines, there will be some free dining options, but there will be also several specialty or paid dining options as well. Virgin Voyages, they do things a little bit differently. And I'm highlighting those 3 specific benefits of sailing with Virgin Voyages, but I think those are just really great things to have. Like, I mean, who doesn't have free Wi-Fi these days, right? All right, let's talk about the first sailing, which is from Athens to Venice, July 5th to the 15th. It'll be for 10 nights. And these are the ports of call. This is the itinerary. Mykonos in Greece, Kuzadasi in Turkey, Istanbul, there's actually an overnight in Istanbul, Santorini, Dubrovnik in Croatia, and Zadar in Croatia. So some great ports over 10 days. Let's give you a little bit of the pricing as well. So what I'm going to quote here are the upfront pricing. So usually when you look at the Atlantis website, there's a pricing page for each cruise, and then there will be a price listed like $19.99 or $29.99, whatever it is. You have to add the port fees on top of that. Okay, so the price I'm going to give you will be the base price like you would see on the Atlantis website, but I've also added in the port fees because you also have to pay that upfront. Something that I've noticed is new with these sailings is that there's going to be a $20 per person daily service charge. You do not pay that upfront. It's going to be charged to your cabin during the sailing, and you don't pay it until the end of the cruise, as I understand it. So that's not anything upfront that you have to pay, but I do want to point it out explicitly because it's not something I've seen with any of the previous Atlantis Virgin Voyages sailings. Looks to be something that's new, the $20 per person daily service charge, but you don't pay that upfront. So I'm not including that charge, but I'm just going to give you the upfront pricing, which is the base fare and the port fees, okay? So for double occupancy, assuming there's 2 people in the room and they're both paying their share of the fare, interior rooms starting from about $2,400, ocean view rooms starting from just under $2,500, balcony rooms starting just under $2,700, and suites starting from about $4,600 on up. There are also solo rates, so if you're looking to just have a room all to yourself, single occupancy, they do have some solo rates for you as well. An interior room going for just under $4,000, ocean view room about $4,300, and then a balcony for about $4,500. So that's your starting point for the prices. Within these categories of interior rooms, ocean view rooms, and balcony rooms, for example, they also have different rates. So there are different types of ocean view rooms, there are different types of balcony rooms, and those have slightly different rates as well. But these are kind of like the starting prices for all of those categories of rooms. Just to give an idea of what the upfront cost is going to be. All right, moving on to the second cruise. This one starts in Venice and ends in Barcelona, July 15th to the 24th for 9 nights. Here's the itinerary, the ports of call. Split in Croatia, Vallarta in Malta. I don't know, I have so much trouble saying this word. Palermo in Sicily in Italy, Sorrento in Italy, Rome in Italy, Nice in France, and Marseille in France. I always have so much trouble reading out foreign names of anything, foreign people names, foreign object names, foreign location names. Don't send me hate mail. I'm trying my best. All right. I want to give you the pricing for this as well. The pricing for this one is just generally a little bit cheaper than the prices for the first cruise, probably because it's a slightly shorter cruise, 9 nights instead of 10 nights. So for double occupancy, so if you have 2 people paying for a single room, interior room starting from about $2,100, ocean view starting from about $2,300, balcony room starting for just over $2,300, and then suites starting from about $4,100. We also have solo rates and solo occupancy rooms as well. Interior rooms for about $3,500, ocean view for about $4,000, and then balcony for just over $4,100. So there should be a room and a rate for everyone, no matter if you want to go solo, no matter if you want to have a view or have a balcony. All the pricing is also on the Atlantis website now, and I also have all the details about both of these cruises on the JustJoeyTravels.com website as well. There'll be a dedicated webpage for both of these cruises. All right, so that's your basic information for each of these cruises. I'm going to give you the Just Joey T forecast, okay? I'm going to tell you who I think these cruises are going to be the best suited for, who I think should not go on these cruises. And if you're a new cruiser, because I get asked about this all the time, but hey, I'm a new cruiser. Is this cruise going to be good for me? Oh, I'm a new cruiser. What cruise should I take? Okay. For pretty much every Atlantis Mediterranean cruise or any Mediterranean cruise, I know that the vast majority of you listening are not European and you don't live there. Okay. You are in the Americas. And if you want to visit Europe, if you like the ports of call, if you like the itinerary, okay, you actually want to visit the places that the ship is going to stop at. You will get off the ship, okay? Not that you want to, you will get off the ship, okay? Because for the Med cruises, it's really the itinerary. That's the star of the show. Yes, Atlantis will put on all the various events and parties and activities and entertainment that they bring to every Atlantis cruise. So there's going to be tons to do on the ship. But unless you live in Europe or you're going to already be in Europe at the time of the cruise, there's no point to fly all the way to Europe, to the Mediterranean to take these cruises if you're not interested in getting off in at least some of the places that the ship is going to stop at. The cruises are really about the itinerary, the ports of call. If you don't want to go to Mykonos, if you don't want to go to Istanbul, if you don't want to go to Rome, you don't want to go to Nice, it doesn't make sense to fly a 8-hour flight, a 12-hour flight from wherever you are to go to Europe to take this cruise if you're just going to stay on the ship. It makes no sense. So that is really the point of having the Mediterranean cruises, you know, like stopping at all these super great, super awesome, super epic ports that people usually very generally want to get off at and go explore those places. However, having said that, you know, it's also the Med cruises are usually a great balance between partying and socializing and relaxing, just in terms of like the onboard atmosphere. You know, some cruises tend to be on the more relaxing slide, you know, like more slow pace, more easygoing. We also have cruises like the one in February. That's a party cruise, okay? Younger crowd, party cruise, not really about the ports. This one is about the ports, but even when you're on the ship, it's just a really great mix of like, if you want it to be a relaxing experience on the ship, done. If you want to party on the ship, you can do that too. The partying is not as hardcore as like the February cruise, because that's kind of sort of like the extreme, I guess. But it's a really well-rounded cruise. You know, the Med sailings have always been very well-rounded. The parties are well-attended, but not crazy. A lot of people do get off the ship. Like the vast majority of people do get off at the vast majority of the ports. There's like the sightseeing part of it, obviously, and the exploring part. That's obviously a key feature of these. Yeah, so I think, you know, the onboard experience is going to be really well-rounded. Doesn't matter if you want something that's like, wake up early, get the early bird breakfast, or for the people who want to like stay up and kind of hit the parties late in between off the ports, obviously. So a lot of great things about these cruises. Med cruises are some of my favorite, obviously, assuming you want to visit Europe. The other category of people that I think probably shouldn't go is if you are a brand new cruiser, because for someone who's never been on a cruise before, you know, someone that lives in the US, let's say, I know a lot of you are Americans, you live in the US. If you've never been on a cruise before, but you love Europe, you know, you visited Europe a little bit before, but a lot of the ports of call, a lot of places on the itinerary are places that you really want to visit. Okay, so like, you know, you want to go to Istanbul, you know, you want to go to Rome, like all those places, okay? I think in that case, then maybe these could be good sailings for you. Obviously, if you live in Europe and you want to go on a gay cruise, there are other gay cruises in Europe beyond Atlantis, you know, but if you want to do an Atlantis gay cruise and you live in Europe, like these are your only options. Otherwise, I generally don't recommend a cruise that's longer than a week. Like a 9 or 10 night cruise is on the longer side for a cruise. Your average cruise is 7 days or 7 nights. I generally don't recommend a longer cruise like these ones for a brand new cruiser because the risk is you go on a cruise, you find within a couple of days that you don't like it, and now you are stuck on the ship for like another 7 or 8 nights. Even if you can or want to get off at one of the ports and just kind of end early, I mean, you're not going to get the rest of your money back. It's not inexpensive to go on these cruises because they are longer. The longer a cruise is, in terms of the duration, the more expensive the cruises are. Do you want to pay all this money to go on a cruise, having never been on one before, find out in a couple of days that you don't like it, get off at one of the ports and kind of end your cruise early, but you won't get any of your money back? So there is a little bit of risk. Again, I do say the vast majority of people, of new cruisers that go on an Atlantis cruise, as far as I can tell, like 90-something% of them do want to go on it again. Or even if they don't want to go on it again anytime soon, they had a good time. Maybe they didn't have like the most awesome time, but they had like a good time to be like, they didn't regret it. Okay. However, cruises, again, are a bit of a niche. Taking a cruise vacation is not like taking any other kind of vacation. So I do want to put in a little bit of caution and put in the fine print there for the new cruisers. All right, finally, I just want to give a little bit of a really early sales forecast for these cruises because I keep reading comments about, if I knew about this cruise earlier, I would have booked it before it sold up or before it filled up. I was just on some Facebook groups and some people were already talking about, in the comments, people are already complaining, I wish I knew about this cruise sooner. Like it's only November. The cruises are like wide open. So like it's not selling out anytime soon. Like you can just go book it next week when it goes on public sale or now, and it's fine. But like some people also, they can't commit to a cruise vacation this far in advance. And I totally understand it. You're not sure if you can get the time off. You don't know what your work schedule is, things like that. I get it. Not everyone has the luxury to book and commit to a cruise vacation, 9 months in advance. So this is why I like to sometimes give my sales forecast. So, if a cruise is about to sell out or something is like really filling up fast, I want to let you guys know so that it's a early warning for you to book a room if you can commit to it. Or on the flip side, if something isn't selling out or selling slower than expected, then you kind of know, okay, I still have more time to make up my mind, or I don't have to commit now if you're not ready to commit now. Okay, so that's why I like to give the sales forecast. I will say though, historically, med cruises tend to sell out. Okay, because Europe is a very, very popular vacation destination in the summer for Americans. I mean, for a lot of people, like Canadians, Americans, people in Asia. People love going to Europe during the summertime. So, I mean, that's the trend for decades. Usually the med cruises sell out. As far as I can tell right now, in these very early days, it looks like that second cruise from Athens to Barcelona, looks like that one is selling faster than the other one. And we do usually see this when we get two med cruises with different itineraries, different places that they stop at. We usually see one of them do better than the other. And a lot of that is just based on the itinerary. There's going to be one itinerary with one set of destinations and ports of call that's going to be more appealing to people than the other one. So in these very early days, it looks like the Venice to Barcelona sailing, the second one for 9 nights, that one seems to be selling a little bit faster, but these are still really early days. I mean, it's really kind of down to personal preference, whether you want to kind of go visit Turkey and Greece versus Italy and France. But rest assured, just make sure you follow me on the JustJoeyTravels Instagram and subscribe to this Gay Cruise and Travel podcast. What I like to do is give periodic updates on all of the upcoming Atlantis sailings. So I will definitely be keeping everybody, all my followers and listeners, abreast of any developments in the sales of these cruises. Because now that I'm a professional travel advisor and part of my focus is the Atlantis cruises, I do keep very, very close eyes on them on the regular. Every day I'm checking them almost. So yeah, I will give periodic updates on if one of these I see is starting to sell really quickly and they're starting to fill up. I definitely will let everybody know so that if you're on the fence about it and then you hear my warning about it later on to say, hey, I think this particular cruise looks like it's filling up pretty fast. I don't think you should wait too long to book it if you want to go on that cruise. Then all of you will know. But obviously, it's early days. Everyone, as of right now, should have lots of time to think about either one of these cruises and whether they might want to go on one of them. And all the room categories are available. I do want to very quickly talk about the suites. Atlantis has a different procedure for how they allocate suites on all of their sailings, not just these particular ones. There's a very limited number of suites and alumni get priority. So on almost every sailing, only alumni will be getting into those suites. Anyways, the one last thing I want to talk about is in years past when Atlantis has done a back-to-back sailing in the Mediterranean. I think they did it for 2024, actually. It was also with Virgin, and they had two sailings that were just like this, back-to-back Mediterranean sailings on the exact same ship. So on the day where the first sailing ended that morning, that afternoon, the second sailing started. Just pulling from that particular experience, if you were to book both of these cruises, you wouldn't have to necessarily pack up everything that you had and get off the ship just like all the other passengers who were not going to take that second cruise. The experience in 2024 was if you booked the exact same cabin number for both of the two cruises, then the morning when the first sailing ends, you'll be given instructions to maybe meet up in one particular area so that the cruise line and Atlantis, they can kind of sort of contain everybody that is going to stay on for the second sailing while they kind of disembark everybody else just for logistical reasons. You might need to get your key fob or wristband or key card kind of updated for that second sailing. They'll kind of sort of process you and make sure that from the first sailing ending and you're also going to be on the second sailing, that your account and your room and your access and everything is basically going to be transferred over. So they did have a special process of that. You wouldn't have to pack up everything as long as you kept the same room number for both sailings. You can kind of leave most of your belongings there, and then you don't have to kind of go through that full registration process like you would for the people who are only taking that second cruise and didn't come off for the first one. So as far as I can tell, there's no reason for Atlantis and Virgin not to try to do that again as long as they're able to make that happen. But, for my little bit of research, that's what happened when they had back-to-back med cruises on Virgin couple years ago, and I expect that if you were to do both of these cruises, I would just say make sure to just get the same room number. I mean, when you're booking it yourself, you kind of have to manually do that to make sure. Obviously, if you're working with a travel agent, someone like me, the travel agent can obviously make sure they'll see that you're trying to go on both of these sailings. Let's just get you into the same room so that it'll be a lot easier when you switch from the first sailing to the second sailing. You don't have to pack up all your stuff. All right, that will do it for this episode. So exciting when Atlantis announces some new cruises. Med cruises are kind of sort of bread and butter, but every year the med cruises are a little bit different, So I'm so glad that the two med cruises have now launched. Again, if you are a new cruiser and you're interested, please, please, please reach out to me at JustJoeyTravels.com or the Just Joey Travels Instagram channel, and you can DM me there. And yeah, we'll see. I don't think I'm going to be on the Med cruises, but who knows? There's a lot of time between now and July. I was on the Med cruise in, I think, 2023. It was just so much fun, and I just love the atmosphere because it's a really good mix of Americans and Europeans, because obviously there's a lot of Americans that go because, Atlantis being a American company. But, obviously when you have two big gay cruises in the Mediterranean, there's going to be a lot of Europeans that go on it. I kind of call it an American cruise with European flair. It's like a really great hybrid of, for those that are coming from the US, kind of some of the comforts of a kind of American cruise. Virgin is a American-based cruise line. Atlantis is an American-based company as well. But obviously, like, you're going to all these like gorgeous places in Europe. There's going to be quite a lot of Europeans that's going to be taking these sailings as well. It's just such a lovely time when I go on the Med cruises. So I hope for any of you that are going to be going on this cruise, I'm sure that you're going to be having such a great time on either one or maybe both of these sailings as well. Again, please reach out to Just Joey Travels if you're at all interested in either one of these cruises, if you're not an alumni already. And make sure you follow the Just Joey Travels Instagram and subscribe to this podcast as well. But until next time, bye y'all.